we doing this? Are we good?
I guess.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Hey guys, welcome Instagram. This is our first time going live for the Freedom Affairs podcast that we've been doing all summer during quarantine. I have my buddy Caleb here with me and Brandon. I hope everybody can see everybody and hear him. How you guys doing?
Doing good. Early morning, getting up to watch this movie, but it was a fun one. So thanks, Caleb, for the choice. Not an Apocalypse Now morning, which was nice.
Yeah. Figured we had to pivot.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're definitely doing it. So we're talking about, just in case anybody...
grande note. Big night.
Big night. Stanley Tucci, baby.
Italiano. The Tooch Master, Mr. Monk himself, Tony Shalhoub.
Ooh, yeah.
So good, by the way. How good was fucking Tony Shalhoub in this? Jesus.
I mean, the mustache. We had mustaches two weeks in a row.
Another, back-to-back mustache exploitation.
Okay, wait. I want to get into this at some point, but I looked up the cast. Who the hell was Liev Schreiber?
He was the bodyguard.
Leo, yeah.
He was just the bodyguard of the club, yeah.
The doorman, yeah. He was big. He was like bigger.
Yeah, I didn't like because I know you're talking about like the character. And now I see it, but that went right over my head.
I mean, this
totally
is what 15 years before Ray Donovan, so
he wasn't Sabretooth yet.
Oh, Sabretooth was 2000. That's right. 2000.
Yo, he
2001.
was very famous before both those things. Just to be clear.
What was his big break?
I don't know, but
exactly.
I know it was something.
Exactly.
I don't know, Caleb.
Exactly,
but
bro.
It was something.
He's Sabretooth, bro.
How much do
From
you
the
think
worst
he got
X-Men
paid?
movie. Sorry. Anyway.
No, it's hey, X-Men has.
I wish he'd been back in Logan.
Nah, it's fine. It's okay.
So for everybody viewing, just a quick lowdown, and then we can get into it. Freedom Affairs podcast. We all went to school together. Josh was Stir. This is my Instagram live feed with Brandon Kyle McPherson, who's the actor. We're all actors, but my title: director, playwright, screenwriter extraordinaire, and then our actor friend here, Brandon. We get together and just shoot the shit and talk about movies. It's pretty cool. We are, quick plug, we are on all the podcast outlets, the major ones: Apple, Spotify, Google Podcast. So check us out if you like what you see on our live, and hopefully we can keep kind of doing this, 10 a.m. Eastern time.
Yeah.
What episode is this? 24, 25?
27.
5th inaugural episode? 27.
26.
So 27.
No,
26.
26 was Tombstone last week.
I don't think
We're
that's
going to have
possible.
to do
it's definitely
something
So you're
special
the
for
third.
30.
You're the third in the cycle. This is the 9th cycle, so you're 27. This is 27.
Hey, bud, if it's times 3 and it's the 10th cycle, then it would have to be like 30
9.
would be the
No,
end.
9.
30?
Anyway, we love math.
All right.
I'll figure it out. It's all in order on
It's
the
the
drive.
26th episode.
The
I have it in my thing.
so Big Night, is that what we watched? What the hell was this
We
movie
watched-
called?
Grande note.
Yeah.
It's big night, yeah.
Stanley Tucci directed it.
Co-directed,
And
co-wrote
stars
it.
in it.
Yeah, and
Who's the other co-director and co-writer?
Campbell Scott, he played the car salesman
oh
Really?
who like came in and was
Okay,
like,
dope.
da-da-da-da-da.
yeah, kids.
Yeah, he was great.
I got 2
He was
kids.
great. The Cadillac salesman?
Yeah.
Oh, and the best
Yeah.
part of that was he's got the cast on his hand, and he just comes up and he's like, "What happened?" He's like, "I have no idea," and they just keep going with it. They don't talk about it again.
Dude, like he just has this.
Episode 27. Big
That's
night.
what I said.
Yeah,
27.
you were right.
I edit this
I'm
every
so
week,
sorry.
Caleb.
I'm
I have
so
to
sorry.
title it
Caleb.
every
I'm
week.
so sorry.
You want to give a little?
so sorry.
Caleb, you want to give a little synopsis of the movie? A little rundown.
1950s, Jersey Shore. 2 Italian immigrants have this restaurant. They're brothers, and the restaurant's not doing that well. This is a time period where like Italian cuisine is not very accepted or in. There's still not treated very well by Americans, and they have a rival restaurant across the street run by Bilbo Baggins himself.
Ian Holm, baby.
Ian Holm.
Oh
Rest in peace.
shit!
Yeah.
Oh,
Rest in
thank
peace.
you for saying that. That was freaking me out. I could not figure out who it was. Oh, amazing. Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, Bilbo Baggins, fantastic.
Rest in peace. And he's like, all right, I'll hook you guys up with my pal Louis Prima, jazz musician. I'll invite him. We'll have a huge party, and it's going to be a big night, and it'll save your restaurant. So most of the film is them preparing for this insane meal. It's very funny. It's mostly Stanley Tucci and Tony Shalhoub kind of bickering, playing off each other with different attitudes of how to run the restaurant, different attitudes towards cuisine. There's also some like love romance stuff. You got Allison Janney, you got Minnie Driver, Isabella Rossellini.
She's the best.
Which she?
Minnie Driver. I love Minnie Driver.
Yeah, I mean, you got it's a great cast from top to bottom. I think it's great. I think it's hilarious. What did you guys think of it?
Dude, I loved it. It was so likable. The dialogue all the way through was just it was likable. The tone of it was entrancing. I didn't care that there wasn't a lot going on, that it wasn't moving very quickly. You know, it was a very slow paced movie for the first half. You were just learning a lot, and I enjoyed that a lot. Especially, you know, the scenes just with Stanley Tucci and you know, what's his name, the monk. They're
Primo.
fucking amazing, man.
Primo and Segundo.
Primo and Secondo.
But the guy, Bilbo Baggins, I thought was absolutely amazing. I also, because I'm dumb, I thought it was Mel Brooks for half the movie. That's why I looked it up.
Oh, wow.
So until you said the Bilbo Baggins thing, I was going to ask that. Yeah, man, no, I loved it. But you know what's interestingly enough, my favorite scene from the movie was the scene with Minnie Driver and the other woman when they're just outside and she's throwing up and then smoking a cigarette before Stanley Tucci comes out. It was what, a 3-4 minute scene, just the two of them just having a conversation about, you know, the West and things like that. And I don't know, it just caught me really off guard, and it felt like a short film. You know, that little scene right there, I was like, oh, you can lift that out and put it anywhere. And they were amazing in it. I don't know.
Yeah.
It just jumped off the page to me. So,
I enjoyed the movie. I watched it twice because I always like to do my notes the second time. What struck me most the second time through was like that dynamic of like the craft and the respect of the Italian cuisine versus just doing whatever the fuck you need to do to make money to keep your business open. You know, and I got that very, like, it was very strong, that feeling.
Oh,
the
man.
second time through,
yeah.
You know, like just doing whatever you can. But then there's also, you got, you know, like I would say the deceiving, or like, you know, from the major the entertainment club, essentially restaurant, you know, sabotaging their business. And then it's just kind of, you know, but what really struck me was a lot of the cooking scenes, like where they're preparing the food. I love, like, we'll get into it, but like the breakfast, the making the eggs at the very end, you know, no dialogue, just real time making some eggs for breakfast, and just that weight of like their future. Beautiful. And yeah, I thought it was great. The music was great. I think it actually flowed pretty well, actually. It was like an hour, 45 minutes, and it didn't, there were some moments that it felt, but it really kind of clipped along because it was like within a 24-hour period, right?
Yeah.
You would assume.
A little,
Yeah.
At
a
least
little over
at least
24
2
hours.
days, I think.
also,
yeah.
just to answer the question that we just had come in, the movie that we watched this week was Big Night,
Yeah, 1996, Big Night.
1996.
It's on fucking
Amazon Prime.
and like Tubi, whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Great movie.
Yeah, Josh, just you one of my scenes that I like that I really like that illustrates that point you just made. When like, you know, Tony Shalhoub like makes this fucking gorgeous risotto meal, and then the fucking woman doesn't like it, and Stanley Tucci's like, maybe we take it off the menu. He's like, oh yeah, no, we can.
Yeah.
We what are they like chicken fingers?
hot dog.
Hot dog?
Hot dog.
They're like a hot dog, and it's just like because I think something that's been like sort of a through line for what we've talked about these movies is that disconnect between like artistic integrity and then like what you have to do in order to find success. And
100%.
I love that like you have the two brothers that are the two sides of it. Like Stanley Tucci's like, not only is he balancing like two different affairs, he's also like trying to get like his restaurants like financially stable, and he's like really trying to be the business face of it. And Tony Shalhoub is like, I just want to like cook the food that I love. And those things like in the time period that this film is set, like they're clashing, like they aren't meshing.
Well, and one of the things about the scene that you just mentioned that was exemplified so well at the beginning with no exposition needed was sorry, just had a text come through. I'm very distracted being on my phone. I don't love it. Sorry.
A lot of things going on
it was
right
the fact that Stanley Tucci was so nervous and had so much anxiety to talk to him about it and to bring it up in the risotto thing. And so that got established so quickly. You knew the characters and the relationship right from that scene immediately right away.
Yeah.
Well, I
And
argue.
so I thought,
Sorry, Brandon, go ahead.
yeah, sorry, go ahead. No, you good.
No, I even argue like even the first scene when he brings the food out to the couple and she's like, the one I do actually, I will side with the customer on this. I did not see any shrimp or scallops in that risotto. So how is it a seafood risotto?
That shit's expensive.
Nah, dude.
Okay.
She was being a Karen.
But she was like, it obviously was like just spaghetti, and he's like, well, no, that's the starch, and you can't have two starches, and then like there's an etiquette you have to do, right? But at the end of the day, the customer is always right. Like if they want a side of spaghetti,
Right.
even though it's going to kill your Italian inside, like your soul, excuse me, for the food, you have to just get her a side of spaghetti and stuff. But like the scene with Tony and Stanley in the kitchen, Primo.
Yeah, where he's like, who is it? Tell me who it is. Who is
and
it?
he like opens the door and he's like, her, go talk to her.
And
he's
like, no, I'm not
he's
gonna
like,
do it.
she's a Philistine. I don't want to talk to her.
Yeah, yeah, I love it. It's like a very funny movie, and
Yeah,
it doesn't like
very funny.
appear that way. It's not presented that way necessarily. But there's so many moments that I think are like absolutely hysterical, and it's so impressive that like, so this was like Stanley Tucci and Campbell Scott, who plays another character. He's just like a car salesman that shows up about halfway through. They like wrote it together. They directed it together. This was like a huge, like just passion project for them. And it's so, and to just have like a movie that a couple of actors like got together and made, I think it looks gorgeous. And like,
dude, there's some beautiful shots. Beautiful shots. That table shot. So there's a shot when they're starting dinner. That's a pulling back dolly shot. It's gotta be. Or on a rig of some sort, but it's pulling back down the table while everybody's sitting down on both sides.
Yeah.
And it's just beautifully well done. Like I wonder how many times they had to take that.
Yeah, I mean, where was the setting?
the Jersey Shore, 1950s.
The Jersey Shore. Okay, I just know it was on the East Coast because they do the women talk about, Phyllis
going west.
Going west, and then like maybe getting a cowboy and stuff like that. But no, okay, Jersey Shore, that makes sense because there's a nice shot of the street.
You didn't see the situation in there?
No, I didn't. Sorry.
Yeah, he was the waiter, I think, right?
Snooki was definitely working somewhere. I forget. Shout out to Mark Anthony.
Yeah, Mark Anthony, by the way, who he said he had like 2 lines.
Oh, that's who that was.
Well,
Oh,
Mark Anthony,
the guy who worked with them.
Yeah, the busboy. Yeah.
I couldn't. I kept looking at him and I was like, he looks so familiar. I couldn't figure it out.
Oh yeah, no, there was the casting here was great. Like even when we talked about like Liev Schreiber like as the door guy, I was like, wait, I know that jawline, I know that face. Yeah, Liev Schreiber, like because he wasn't. He also is
very distinct.
Yeah, 100%. But I don't think he was part of the opening credits as like a main actor. So like, I didn't like see the name at the top of the movie and then be like, oh, when is he going to come in? It was more of like that kind of shot, the close up of him and a woman. I don't know if she was trying to get in the club or whatever, but and then it's like you just see the nose down, and you're like, oh, okay, cool.
I recognize that schnoz.
How much did he get paid to be a doorman? Because that's the job I want.
At that place? At Pascal's? Yeah. At
Pascal's,
Eddie and Holmes? Like, what a
great... that's also like...
Yeah.
I mean, you always hear about doormen at comedy places. That seems like an awesome job. Because also they're always comedians, right? So they're trying to go on stage.
I mean, it sounds like an awesome job until somebody has a couple too many Bud Light Limes to try to like start some shit. But I don't think that was as big of an issue in 1950s Jersey Shore.
You probably just like get stabbed.
You probably just get shot. I don't know. I wouldn't fuck with Ian Holm in this. I honestly think like it's a great cast, but he
was great.
He just owned it. He was a psychopath, but he was very charming, very funny. And when you find out like what his game is, like what his ultimate goals are, he's like, it's very sinister and like
great reveal.
Yeah,
great
really good reveal.
Didn't see that coming. Great reveal. That scene when they're at the table and they serve their like special family meal, part of the meal.
Yeah.
And he starts
the Pinot.
He starts freaking out and he's like, I should kill you.
Because it's so good.
It's so good. I should kill you. It was phenomenal.
And you have all these people that they've invited like off the street, like from their neighborhood that are watching like, is he going to actually like, what's about to fucking happen?
That actually goes into kind of some notes that I wrote down was like, so there was a restaurant in Des Moines that me and an ex of mine, dear friend Brad, went to. We always call it food sex because the food was so fucking good. It was like,
I thought you meant the restaurant was called Food Sex.
No, we called it was something I can't think of the actual name, but we called it like amongst friends like Food Sex because it was just that good. And it kept reminding me of that all movie because they're eating this dinner, this like 5-course kind of meal, and it's just this. Everyone's just like, oh god, so good, and then people are passed out and they're drunk,
the close-ups of like the eating the food, and it's just like orgasmic. It's like that's what you want in like a cooking movie. You need the food porn.
Yeah, and Primo says that in the kitchen to the flower lady. I forget the actress's name.
Allison Janney.
Okay,
guys.
She's the best.
But he's like, like, no, the food. It should be an experience. Like, it's not. People should come for the food because it's that good. And that's where that kind of conflict you get with him and his brother of like, they came to America from Italy to open up an Italian restaurant because if you open up an Italian restaurant in Italy, like you're just, well,
that's just a restaurant.
Yeah, it's just a restaurant.
So you come here to showcase that culture and to like build that up. But if you're not willing to,
at the time, nobody was really interested
in what it is. No. And so I thought that was a really cool thing. He said something, Ian Holmes said something like when they were the scene in the office, which I loved. You got to put your teeth in the ass of life. I was like, okay, buddy. He said that you have to do what the customers what they want, so that later you can do what you want, or show them. Well, I forget what the actual line
it's something like show them, give them what they want, so that you can like, eventually bring them around to what you want. But like. Yeah. It's interesting because when you get that awesome shot of like entering Pascal's for the first time, and it's like there's like a club and there's like live singing and there's like the sort of like hibachi grill like live like cooking tableside thing, and it's entertainment, and it seems like it's very commodified and commercialized, even for.
I mean, it almost feels like a club more than a bar.
Yeah,
right?
And so it's like definitely. A different kind of. It's a party, and it is more experiential, I think. And because Paradise, which is the brothers' restaurant, it's very quiet. It's very rustic. Not very many tables inside. It seems like there's a couple regulars, and like the guy's like, I can't pay with food, and it's
here's here's the piece of art,
and then they just like shove it in the back. Like I put it with the others, like because they're trying to be this sort of like earnest.
It's like this mom and pa type of
mom and pa, but they bought into the American dream, and that's something that is a huge like. Through line as well. They're like, we spent everything to get here, and now we're here, but like we can't break it, we can't make it, we can't like crest that wave, because that's not how it works for like most people. And spoilers and everything. These are like spoilers discussions.
Sorry guys listening. Like we request a movie every week, and then we come on and we discuss it. But
I did appreciate, as bittersweet as it was, the ending, that it doesn't necessarily like work out the way that they wanted, in the ways that it wanted, but while still kind of like being sort of hopeful at the end.
Yeah, it's it's definitely not a certain ending, which is nice. Like I like that it's open ended.
Mm-hmm.
We don't exactly know what's going to happen. The one thing that I didn't fully understand, and I get why there's not really an answer for this, but the motivation of the wife of Bilbo Baggins, or whatever the actor's name
Gabriella.
is. I can't remember.
The character name's Gabriella.
Yeah. You know, she's just chaos in this movie, which is great and super entertaining to watch. It's just like the where the character is coming from seems very much like very much of a place of just, well, my husband's a dick, so chaos. That's who I am now. And it's like, all right, that's great, but I don't know. Without her, like, you lift her out, a lot of the problems go away.
I don't know if that's true. I think well, first of all, sorry, that's Isabella Rossellini.
Well, that's why I'm putting it out there, you know?
She's like a legend. Blue Velvet.
Oh no, I mean, she was
Becomes Her.
acting wise phenomenal.
Yeah, but just, you know, her name.
I am a bad gay and I have not seen Death Becomes Her. It is on the list, the short list.
I don't know what that is. What is it?
Some early 90s movie.
Yeah. If you know, you know.
There's no...
But,
don't do that. Don't do that. I don't like that. Don't do that.
But no, I don't think that's fair to say if you like remove her as a factor, a lot of the issues go away. I think like this guy, Pascal Ian Holm, he is so like, yeah, like he's a shitty husband, but like, I think it's sort of like, this is what you can have, but these are all the things you have to give up for it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, a normal relationship, your cultural identity.
Right.
Like, you can be the successful club guy that everybody likes, and it's like, yeah, give this guy a bottle, whatever. You got people coming in, I got the musicians coming in, but you're trading away kind of your morals and ethics in doing so in both your professional and your personal life. And Stanley Tucci, Secondo, is there that American dream, right? No, we can have it all. We can have the restaurant. I can have like this relationship with this American girl, this like Italian woman. I can do it all. I can make it happen. This is the dream. And I've given up everything. But then like, no, you have to learn that lesson that's not how it goes. And, you know, she's finally like, yeah, she's the one that does the reveal at the end of like, Louis Prima was never coming.
Which
is like heartbreaking.
It's heartbreaking because it's to Stanley Tucci, who like obviously was having an affair with her throughout the movie, or not throughout.
No, it's too. Well, it's too.
She tells. She
makes
Ian Holm tell Tony Shalhoub,
right,
Primo.
Yeah, and then Tony Shalhoub tells
at the beach, which is this amazing scene, by the the
great scene, fantastic.
Scene.
A physical comedy where they start to like hit each other, but it's like
they start wrestling. But what I want to say though, like, but the fact that like they were able to share and have a almost like a Last Supper type of meal for the restaurant is how I took it. Brandon, you'd mentioned earlier that it's a little bit open ended, but I thought with the weight of the night before and the idea that their uncle back in Italy opened up a restaurant, is doing really well for them, for himself, invited Primo back, and they should come back. And I know Secondo doesn't want to like give up; he's going to keep going. But that scene, making the eggs, sitting there, and just in silence, kind of what It is a little open-ended, but for me, I feel like, okay, that business is going to go under because they've already been in a financial situation. And that's the thing with, like, the whole American dream, right? The beginning of the scene is, or the beginning of the movie is Stanley Tucci going to the bank and be like, hey, is there any more money that we can, it'll come. Don't worry about it. But it's like the bank's like, we want businesses to succeed, but we can't just if you can't take care of yourself, we can't take care of you, and that just, it sucks.
Well, But that was another point that I loved. Another scene where the scene was needed exposition, but it was done in such a way that it was right there, and you knew exactly the stakes of the movie right away. I mean, the banker turns to him and goes, "We can't give you any more time."
Yeah.
And in that line, you know exactly where we're at. This has been going on forever. They're tapped out. You're right there with it. So the writing, especially to know that it was written by Stanley Tucci and
Campbell
the other
Scott.
guy. Campbell Scott. Thank you, Caleb. That kept blowing me away. The dialogue. And I wonder how much of that was them, working it out in the moment and it being Stanley Tucci. But it just,
it's hard. Movie, it's heartbreaking. Man. It's hard because as young artists like ourselves, we have to, there's a conversation that I will always remember in college. and it was to a friend of mine or an old roommate who wanted to go to Chicago, right? And Chicago has a really great theater scene, but it's very much more on the lines of kind of create your own kind of guerrilla theater, little small companies here and there doing theater.
And very musical theater, right?
Not necessarily, no. Just a lot of straight plays. Broadway is on. There's a lot of shows go there to workshop, before they come to Broadway.
Pre-Broadway.
Preview.
Yeah.
But for the most part, for young artists, they go there and they can create their own theater group and they can start doing their, the Steppenwolf. And I sat there going, you know what though? Like, I want to go to New York City because I don't, it is a business. You kind of have to jump through those like hoops. It kind of sucks, the auditioning thing. It kind of sucks having to know your brand and your type and how to sell yourself and things like that. But it's, there are hoops that you have to go through. And with, as an artist, and so you're constantly dealing with that. But then, same thing with the restaurant business. You can have your integrity and your dignity and make just beautiful, good food. But at the end of the day, food alone doesn't pay the bills at the beginning. If you don't have a lot of customers, you just kind of have to do whatever the customer wants so that they can pay the bill and make the money, whatever. Right. Yeah. And I thought that kind of arc of the beginning kind of situation and then the brothers dealing with it, because risotto, shit, Ryan's made risotto a couple times, and it's 40 minutes to an hour of just constantly stirring to make sure it's a very tedious process. And so like efficiency wise and money wise, like it's expensive, it takes a long time, and then it's a very unique thing, right? Like people who aren't Italian or who don't know Italian food in the 50s won't know what like risotto. They're like, what's this risotto? Oh, it's rice. What? It's a
Yeah, they don't care. They want like give me mac and cheese,
spaghetti and meatballs. And then like he like throws the fucking thing at the door. Like he's like, oh, you want a meatballs? Yeah, just like so fucking funny.
And it's frustrating, but
it's very frustrating. Yeah, they treat it very real. The stakes are very high.
Right, in a great way. Also, I wanted to go back something you mentioned before. You're talking about type and stuff in New York. Yeah, it's something I've been thinking about a lot recently. The whole type issue, and I don't know. I'm starting to think that it's an older way of thinking. I think that had something to do with the accessibility of actors, and people's like ability to see you. And now with everybody having their own social media, their own websites, and the ability to shoot stuff, obviously typecasting's still a thing, but you almost want to get typecasted because that allows you work. It's something I've been thinking about a lot.
Well, you have to. The industry will pigeonhole you for sure. Like, see with a lot of the actors who have great careers doing the same thing. Jason Statham is a huge example. When have we seen him in a romantic lead role? Well, I lied. You probably could, but again, there's an evolution there, right? Where he started off in Snatch as this the gambler mob guy, and then became this action star, right? So there's an evolution there from that kind of Guy Ritchie flicks to I'm gonna transport or kick everybody in the goddamn face all day. Yeah, which is also dope.
And now he's doing stuff like The Meg.
Hey,
that's also cool. A long and storied career full of accolades from
whatever pays the bills. Speaking of accolades, how has Stanley Tucci not won an Academy Award? I love that guy. I just watched The Devil Wears Prada a couple days ago, and it's like amazing.
No, Tucci's the man.
Well, he's the same world and realm as Gary Oldman. He just he's one of those guys that I didn't know exactly who he was until I was like 12, 13, because he's a different person in every movie. You know what I mean? Like Gary Oldman, I didn't put together all the movies that Gary Oldman was in until I was like 13, 14, and he was in Batman. And I was like, oh, I get it now. It's all Gary Oldman.
Yeah, we're in the Oldman verse for sure.
He's Jim Gordon, and he's the guy in Harry Potter, and like he looks completely fucking different in every movie.
Yeah. No, Tucci's the man. Like it's like people are like you can like you put him in like something like The Hunger Games, and he's great. You put him in something like The Devil Wears Prada, he slays. And then it's like
burlesque,
and then this, like where it's like I'm actually like he has moments of like real like anger and drama, and like humor.
Yeah.
Like, but he still makes me laugh. Like when Minnie Driver, they get in that argument over the eggplants, right?
Oh, the
and he
eggplant.
like starts throwing the fucking eggplants, and she's like, "You gotta look," and then he goes, "Great!" And then like goes, it's just like he's brilliant. Like every single move that he and Tony Shalhoub do are like master strokes. It's just always perfect.
Yeah.
I could not agree more. This scene, the first time we meet Minnie Driver, the scene with them in the car,
Yeah.
and he's like, yeah, it's about money. It's about money, okay?
You don't know money.
So well
And
timed.
They're trying to like. He's trying to like. It's like he's trying to.
I work in a bank. I know money.
I know money. Yeah, and she. I feel so bad for her. You know, she finds out about the affair, and then like, and then it's.
And she's just like the sweetest person the whole time.
Yeah.
She has nothing but help. She like, but then you also have those experiences where, being forced to like, not forced to propose, but everyone's always asking, when are you gonna get married, eh? And he's like, I don't know, because I've personally been in a situation where some friends of mine will be like, oh, he's a good guy, so when are you getting engaged? And I was like, well, I mean, I just started dating him like 8 months ago. Like, I'd like to see kind of how things go.
You're
but
4 months overdue.
There's always that pressure. And then, of course, if that person is with you at the time, it just got, it's just.
It's an awkward situation.
The awkward situation was played beautifully. I appreciate this movie because it was a little lighthearted. Not lighthearted.
Yeah.
We've seen some deep, serious movies on this podcast, for this podcast. And this one was, again, serious, but what I appreciated is the layers that do get revealed throughout the movie. Watching it for the first time, I was like, oh, this is cute. The cooking scenes are beautiful, like when they're preparing for the meal. When, the breakfast, whatever, because a lot of those scenes don't have dialogue. It's just them cooking in real time. The pasta making kind of montage.
The timpani pasta dish.
And it's just, it's great.
So good.
But the second time going through the layers and going even deeper and talking about, reality versus fantasy and integrity versus like kind of selling yourself out, entertainment versus the craft, right? We've talked about that a lot on this podcast. Having something for pure entertainment values to get people there to keep you going versus sticking to your guns, doing something with passion that for the love of the craft and just letting that speak for itself. And that kind of dichotomy of battling each other. And I felt like that was very evident. Is that the right word? Evident?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, the
the second time through.
The conflict in the movie, like you're saying, was right there. It was on the top. It was very obvious, and it ran all the way through the movie. And again, the way that conflict was worked out, I thought was beautiful. Like, I think the point that we're trying to make really is that it was, as much as a lot of the very serious movies that we've watched, this had the same thematic weight to it. You know what I mean? Or it had the same realness to it without the, excessive drama of it.
Yeah, it
felt just as real, but real life as opposed to real life in Vietnam.
Yeah.
There were no like pretensions of necessarily making like a definitive dramatic statement on anything. It's just like, this is like the story of like a family that is really struggling, and like,
right,
that can be funny and that can be really sad. But at the end of the day, also like the last like half hour is essentially a big party with like a bunch of like food porn and like dancing and music. And it's like incredible. It's like one of the greatest like third acts like ever.
Because that's all it is. It's just the meal.
It's meal, just the reveal fucking, of the thing, and then like all the food and man.
And then the reveal.
And then there's the reveal.
One of the best lines I've heard in a long time, when he calls him scum or whatever, and he turns to him and he goes, "I'm a businessman. I'm whoever I need to be whenever I need to be. Who are you?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like just walks. And I was like, oh shit.
Oh, yeah.
It was beautiful. I mean, and it's the first time that he hits that tone of realness in the entire movie.
He dropped the facade and he was like, come on, man.
And it was that moment of like, wow. So you as an actor have set up this facade for every other scene that you're in for this character and had that moment. It was just masterful.
Well, do you think I mean, obviously that was his intention the whole time, was to, I mean, here's the thing. You got two Italian restaurants, so to speak. One's more mon pa, one's more club, kind of entertainment stuff. Obviously, you know, he goes and he has what is presumed to be the best meal of Italian cuisine, the showcase of Italian cuisine ever in the neighborhood, you know. And you know, and he essentially causes them to go out of business, is from what is my interpretation of it.
Yeah. So the thing is that they're not competing. Like, he's doing infinitely better than they could ever hope to. You know, it's not really a competition. But he's like, I can't give you money, but like, you guys can come work for me. Like, I would love to have you guys. And then, you know, Secondo and it's like Primo, first of all, would never do it, but we have our pride and like, we want to do our own thing. And so he's like, all right, I'll hook you guys up with this famous jazz musician. You put all of your time and money and resources into this last big meal to save your restaurant. But he knows that because that's obviously not going to happen, because he's not going to get in contact with this famous musician at all to begin with, they're not going to have a choice. They either have to work for him or go home.
Yeah.
Because he recognizes that they're talented, but they're not businessmen. And like, so he's like, I can use these to make my restaurant better, these two guys. Or what are you going to do? Go home? But then Stanley Tucci's like, how about you go fuck yourself? Like, we're never going to work for you. And yeah, when you say, Brandon, that the ending is like kind of open-ended, meaning like they just put the camera in the corner of the room and they watch Tony Shalhoub make an omelet for him and Mark Anthony and his brother. And it ends with them like holding each other,
Stanley
like
Tucci
arm in arm. And like, what I like is like, we don't necessarily know what's going to happen with the restaurant or if they stay or decide to go. But what's not uncertain is like that their relationship is strong. Like they're
yes,
together.
100%.
True.
And that 100%. And that I think makes it to me like I almost don't even care. Like that's what's important. And I think that's what they're showing us.
Yeah.
You know.
And that's what I meant by it's this. Then that's what I meant by like it open ended in that. Like it's open ended. We don't know where they're gonna go, but it's an ending in that we know that they're in a better, like they're better off than they were at the beginning.
Yeah.
Right. So it's in. Exactly. It's not like a shitty open ending where you're just like, oh, I guess we're having a sequel.
Yeah.
To this
No. Well, and then it was crazy because like I don't know if you guys saw after the credits, but then Robert Downey Jr. came in and was like, would you guys like to join the Avengers?
I hate you so much.
Stanley Tucci, we're gonna need you to make Captain America.
Fine, but my brother needs a bunch of hand sanitizer because he has OCD.
Or like Ian Holm, like 5 years later, he's like, guys, run the restaurant. I got to go on this adventure.
Well, it's just crazy because 3 years after this, he goes and films Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Like it's
100%, yeah.
It's just like this insane, like it's such a weird time of the 90s where like all of this crazy, like this movie came out the same year as like Sling Blade and Mars Attacks and From Dusk Till Dawn and like all these like crazy movies. And I feel like this like slipped under the radar a little bit.
Well, so the first thing that happened when I looked it up and I plugged it into Google was that, you know, it's the sleeper hit of the year. You know, you see that everywhere.
Yeah.
So like it definitely seemed to get its due critically.
They won like a bunch of Independent Spirit Awards. You know what I mean? It did very well, like for people that saw it, and like, but I feel like nobody's seen it, and it's a shame because it's so much fun.
No, I mean, I hadn't even heard of it until we watched it this week.
Yeah,
right.
And I loved it. I thought it was fantastic.
I'm glad, man.
That's a movie that had I seen growing up, like I just would have thrown it on every time it was on TV, type of thing. You know?
Yeah.
I just would have,
Yeah.
Oh, great. Let me watch a couple scenes of this.
Well, I'd also counter that with like if I did see this when I was a kid, I probably wouldn't have gotten it. I would have probably been like, "What's the big deal?" But like as a 30-year-old man who's like appreciative of cinema and things like that, more so now that I can actually sit here and and be like, I fucking see it. I see the work that you're doing.
I see the craftsmanship. Yeah,
the craftsmanship.
Remember how last week I was like, Tombstone's like a dad movie. I feel like this is a mom movie. I feel like this is like moms are like, oh yeah, it's the food and I love Stanley and I love my Tony Shalhoub and
Stanley with hair is great.
Yeah, Stanley with the hair is really, really.
He's also he's jacked in this movie. He's a Stanley Tucci jack.
He's like low key, kind of in really good shape always. Like that fucking video that came out earlier in quarantine where he was making the Negroni like on IG Live. He had guns. Yeah, like he was like he's got like hot dad energy. Like
he's straight. He's the man. He's straight daddy for sure.
He's
the best. He's the best.
Quarantine daddy.
Quarantucci is dead.
Also, like I remember we were going through his movies before, but like He's the fucking guy in Captain America. He's the scientist as well. I mean, obviously, it's Stanley Tucci. He's literally in everything. I'm just throwing things out there because that's another one where he has an accent and it's long hair and totally different person. Total different look. He's the man.
We were clowning on the Lovely Bones in a different episode, but he's the bad guy in that, and like that movie is not great. He plays like a serial killer pedophile, but he is.
Oh, really? He's the bad guy in that?
He is fucking unreal. Like I'm just used to seeing him in such a not in like a different light. But he's got the range. Like he's just a really fucking talented guy. And I mean, just full on character actor through and through, Yeah. I agree that it's a shame he hasn't seemed to like gotten his like laurels, his accolades. I think he needs to do like a Paul Giamatti type like mini series, like and just get a bunch of Emmys.
Yeah, where he's like the lead. Yeah,
he needs his John
Bryan
Adams.
Cranston, the Paul Giamatti, 100%.
Can we talk?
I wanted to
go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
No, Brandon.
I just wanted to bring up Minnie Driver's accent. I thought she was great.
Yeah, where's she from?
She's British.
So she wasn't doing an accent in Good Will Hunting. This was the accent.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought that. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. No. I totally bought her. She gave me really strong Marissa Tomei vibes in this. Like I feel like they almost like wanted Marissa Tomei, but couldn't get her because I don't know what she was doing in the 90s. But no, she was fantastic. The whole cast is great.
I was getting Rizzo vibes from Gabriella for sure. Can we talk
the hair?
Shout out to Grease. The hair, the smoking, the purple. The lights.
Yeah, she was. Yeah, the color for
she
sure.
She definitely had that thing. So I want to. One of my favorite scenes in this movie, Big Night. The Mambo Italiano. Hey, Mambo.
Yes. I'm so glad you brought that up.
The guy. So it opens up with this guy lip syncing to the
Amazing.
Song, and
awesome.
He does it like almost like drag queen level professional. Like even with the little lip trill.
He's giving, yeah.
And he's like, and he has this wine bottle,
and
it's
right
starting
there.
Dude, it was great, but I mean that whole night was amazing because what happened to it? Because I was watching with my roommate Antoine, and we ended up watching Mambo Italiano, the movie, which is a gay Canadian movie. Brandon, if you haven't seen it,
I have not. What is this movie?
It's called Mambo Italiano. It's on Amazon Prime. It's a gay movie from again the 90s. No, 2003. Sorry, 2003. No, 2003.
Okay.
And it's Canadian. Like there's like I think one major actor that I think the dad's a famous actor.
Right.
But he got like special permission to do it. But it's all no-name actors from Canada, and it's amazing. You should. I was definitely Italianed out on Tuesday when I watched this movie, or Tuesday when
yeah,
because I went from Big Night to Mambo Italiano, and it's great. Like I think it's a great song. I think it's
spicy meatball.
It's just great. So definitely check it out, Brandon, because that's your
that
people. I don't know if we mentioned like we're in New York City. Brandon's in Toronto. We've been trying to do this all quarantine.
Yeah, Brandon's a filthy fucking immigrant.
Canadian flag behind me. That wasn't intentional, but it's there because that's Canada.
Should we start painting our backgrounds? Like, should I put the American flag up here?
Yeah, we'll put a bunch of like obnoxious like freedom stuff in the back.
God.
I mean, what's up?
Oh no, I'm just very glad you brought up that scene because that was one of the best moments ever. Also, because that's a hard cut from the scene I was talking about before with the two of the women outside speaking,
sharing a cig.
Yep.
And it's a very like beautiful moment, and then it's a hard cut, and it's like right on this guy's face, close up, Mambo Italiano, and it was fantastic, so good.
Yeah, I mean, I think this movie's fantastic. I don't really have anything else to say about it.
It's a great poem.
I don't know. I also thought the art direction was fantastic. Their apartment really gave a sense of everything. Having two beds in the one room. The little moment where he flips the iron over because they left it on because they're that exhausted. Mm-hmm. Just little things, that they clearly thought of because they were living in the characters.
Or like when they're in the office and the shot begins and like they have the lamp is like in the way, and I'm like, they like let this pass like. The dailies, like you can't, and then like finally Bilbo just like slams it, and you're like, oh, okay, I get it. Like, there's so much detail.
It covers the mouth.
It covers his face, and you see him. That's what I mean. Just the fact that it was like these two guys getting together to do this thing. It was like so professionally done. Like every aspect of it like was pretty excellent. Like I didn't feel like they skimped out on anything. They just put like they did it the right way, you know.
Even down to like the co-writer,
Campbell Scott with his fucking arm
with
in his
arm in a
cast.
cast, the sucker, like quintessential like douchey salesman, like
that was
trying to sell the Cadillac, which the Cadillac for a long time was like the symbol of
that was
like
the car,
class, right?
Yeah.
Like you've made it if you can ride around in a new Cadillac.
Right.
You know, and so it's that temptation that Stanley Tucci, because throughout for the most part of the movie, he's thinking, okay, we're gonna pull out all the stops. This jazz singer's gonna come, and we're gonna make it. Like this is a total possibility. And so he's like window shopping, right? And he's like fantasizing of like the life he could have. You know, unfortunately, obviously, doesn't work out. But yeah, even to that kind of bit, like culturally, like the time period, everything was very solidly grounded in that reality across the board, you know, even going down to having
like when he's like, this is next year's car, and he's like, oh my, next year.
Shit. So the next year's car is gonna go.
So charming. Like, oh man.
Down to like even the barber a few doors down.
The other
Italian barber where they sit, he brings over some food, Primo does, and they just sit and speak Italian, and you kind of find your community in America, you know.
There's also something interesting about that, and I don't know if that's just because we've been watching a lot of movies with subtitles, but seamlessly, you know, as it went in and out with the Italian and the subtitles, like it felt seamless to me. Like I didn't even notice at one point that I was reading subtitles. Yeah. So that was just beautifully done.
It's not great how we just kind of now we're used to it.
Yeah, I wonder if that's just an us thing now though, because we've been watching like all these, you know, the foreign films.
I don't know. I think Netflix made it pretty universal.
Yeah. Well, also, I mean, ever since I started watching anime,
I was literally about to say I've been on this shit since I was 12, so because of Toonami.
I wouldn't have even started watching subs, but I was watching all the dubs. Then you were like, you can't watch the dubs; it's different.
Yeah, it's actually it's actually illegal to watch dubs.
Is it?
Yeah, you can't do it.
I had no idea.
Anyway, I don't know. Big Night's fantastic. I'm ready to put in the numbers.
So it's so funny this being our first kind of like live Instagram thing. You know, it's like we have an hour, right?
Yeah.
And then it's like then we go too fast because we know some people are watching, tuning in. Which thank you by the way. And I think it's just funny with like time frame and kind of scheduling it out. We went right into the movie. That was great. We're gonna do this regularly, hopefully. So
we rate things out of 5 stars because it's obviously you can quantify art down to a number. Does anyone want to go first?
I'll go first.
Yeah, go, Josh.
Yeah. While Brandon thinks about his rating, I'm gonna go a 3.5.
Okay.
Just compared to everything else that we've had on our plate, 3.5. It was a nice, easy watch. Loved a couple of the shots. Great story. And I'm going to stick with that.
I'm going to give it a 4. You know, I was going to give it a 3.5 before the podcast, before we started talking about it. But as we talked about it, like I'm more and more impressed. And then I'm such a sucker for actors writing stuff and like it coming out this way. Mm-hmm. So I'm giving it a 4.
It's funny because like last week we were like, how hard is it to direct and act? You know, and then this week it's direct, act, write. You know,
they did it all.
Well, then it's interesting that they did it together, which has to be really helpful, you know, because with Stanley Tucci being the lead, having, you know, Campbell Scott there.
100%.
Nailed the name.
And then you can tell when they had their scenes with each other, it was like, oh, this is what they wanted to do. They wanted to just like have a bunch of excuse to like dick around and drive a fancy car in a field, like, and it works.
It almost felt like it started off as a short film of an Italian like immigrant trying to buy a car from an American salesman,
and then like somebody at like Sundance is like, or we make it a fucking drama, baby. I'm with you, Brandon. I think it's like a solid 4. I think it's a great under the radar movie that doesn't necessarily say anything new, but it is saying what it is saying really well.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
That's a great way to put it. Really great way to put it.
Cool. So normally it would be Josh's turn because we do a rotating schedule, but I bullied him off camera into letting me go this week.
That's why I'm wearing a shirt today.
So yeah, he's wearing.
saw
to
it.
cover the
It was
welts.
ruthless.
Brandon tried to stop, but
Ruthless.
he can't do anything because he's across the fucking border.
No.
So I wanted to snipe his spot and go 2 weeks in a row to recommend a movie because Midnight Tonight, September 4th, is the global release on Netflix of the new Charlie Kaufman film, I'm Thinking of Ending Things, starring Jesse Buckley and Meth Damon himself, Jesse Plemons.
Meth Damon, I hate you. It makes so much sense, but oh god.
Well, he was in Breaking Bad, and he looks like Matt Damon. He's Meth Damon. It's called I'm Thinking of Ending Things. It is based off of a book by a Canadian author, actually, Brandon. And it's a contemporary release. I think it'll be fun. It's coming out tonight. Try to go in blind if you haven't seen the trailer or anything. It's going to be.
I literally watched the trailer 2 minutes before this podcast.
Really?
I can't believe that's the movie you picked. I'm so pumped.
Yeah, it's going to be a fucking trip. This is Charlie Kaufman who did Being John Malkovich, Adaptation, Anomalisa, like phenomenal, only hits, like has never really missed. Eternal Sunshine he wrote.
Yeah.
It's going to be something, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, totally.
Oh man, that might be the best pick yet. I think I'm excited because
Well, now that movie
there's going to be a
theaters,
lot to talk about.
Oh,
definitely.
yes.
Well, now that movie theaters are open, we can actually maybe start once in a while doing requesting a movie that's opening or something. I know Friday we're going. Me, Ryan, his sister, mother,
You're going to see
niece
Tenet?
are gonna go see. No, we're seeing another movie that his niece picked. I forget what it's called, like writing on the wall or something like that, or bathroom stall. I don't know.
The niece picked it.
All
right.
And so we're actually driving to Connecticut Friday morning to see a movie. So
Oh damn! Nice.
that's fun. But
Enjoy that.
anyway, so because it's Instagram Live, we have an hour. I think we have a little bit of time just to kind of plug here quick. I will just spearhead it. It's my account. So this is 3 MFAers, because we're MFAers. Podcast where we talk
is
movies.
That
Right. Follow us on Instagram at the number 3 MFAERS podcast, so that you can get kind of updates what we're doing, or follow me at stir STER _Joshua, and then Brandon at Brandon Kyle McPherson, because we'll post things throughout the week. That way we can, keep you guys updated, and we'll hopefully do these live things more so that, if you're chilling at home at 10 a.m. Eastern time, 7 a.m. Pacific time, you can hop on with us and have a discussion. We will release it
8 p.m. Central.
8 a.m.
9 a.m. I don't
Wait,
know.
what?
Sorry.
Stop.
Anyway, I interrupted you.
It'll be on all the podcast stuff next week for the audio for you guys to chime back in. And yeah, Caleb's on Letterboxd
I'm on Letterboxd. It's a website that is for people who like to argue about movies. You can find me at CJC ASDS. It's a lot of fun. I'm not on really anything else, but yeah, check it out.
Anything else, Brandon?
Yeah, for any of your comic book, superhero, or nerdy clothing needs, go to thepostsession.com.
There you go. Brandon's a little
You know what?
entrepreneur
Also,
flinch pit.
go to thepostsession.com. I'm just going to say this here. I'll have to set it up after, so give me about an hour. But discount code 3MFAers for, I don't know, 10%. I got to figure it out. But so,
Wow.
yeah,
Oh,
try
You guys
that.
heard it
See
here
if it
first.
works.
I might go. 10% discount. I'll fucking check it
There
out.
you go. No, guys.
Caleb, I hope you do, because you're going to want to buy a bunch of shit.
Oh, I bet.
Actually, Caleb, do me a favor. Go look at the Hunter x Hunter shirts. I have one here that I ordered, but they're fucking dope, the sweaters. And
bro, I'll check it
such
out.
better quality than I thought. I'll actually send you a picture of the one that because I ordered it as a test for myself, and it's dope. Sorry that we don't.
No,
yeah,
all
we
right.
can do this later. But
No, perfect. No, don't
We
worry
like
about it.
anime. Please, we're still our opinions still matter.
Our opinions still matter. If you like what you heard, check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast,
Play.
YouTube.
Some Spanish
No, Google Play.
website. We don't know the name.
Google
of it.
Play no longer exists.
Oh.
It's just Google Podcasts.
I'm so
is the
sorry.
podcast. And then YouTube is now the Google Play music stuff. So we're on all that. Please like, share, subscribe. Our last week's episode, Tombstone, will be out later today after this on all that. And yeah, check out the library and tune in next week, 10 a.m. Bye.
Yeah, thanks.
I don't.
I don't know.
How do we do this? The saying goodbye is the worst part.
Just log off, bro.
Oh, dude, just log off.
Log off.
All right, here we go. Thanks, y'all.
Brandon's like later.
Brandon's literally peaced out. All right, guys.